In a neon glow, circuits and code, cryptos whisper secrets on the digital road. Newsweek drops the top three. Listen to the
This is Bug Bounty Newsweek, a refuge for those who walk on the edge of exploits, bypasses, and remote code execution, but also for those who feel the responsibility to protect information in an increasingly vulnerable world. Every week, we reveal real vulnerabilities, techniques that make a difference, and signals that could guide or bury your next hunt. I'm Cryptos, and this is the voice that accompanies those who search through firewalls for what others don't want you to see.
Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason, and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgotten.
Another Monday, terminal open, cold coffee, and some bug bounty program that changed its scope at 3 a.m. without telling anyone. You know how this goes. Recon that never ends. Endpoints throwing 403S until they don't. And the permanent feeling that the find of the century is exactly one parameter away. Or it isn't. You never know. Welcome to the matrix of those who choose to live like this. I'm Cryptos. This is Bug Bounty Newsweek. 90 minutes. That's all the US government gave Anthropic to shut down 2 of their most advanced models. No explanation. No negotiation. And while the world debated whether Fable 5 was a cyber weapon or premium marketing, back in Argentina, Hospital Italiano and BBVA were showing up in underground markets with millions of records for sale. We've got drama. We've got news. We've got tools. We've got the Bounty Inspirador of the week. Let's go. Main topic. The US government just created the best business opportunity of the year for organized crime. The sudden removal of Fable 5 and Mythos 5 through export controls forced frontier AI labs to implement financial-grade KYC passports, biometrics, liveness checks to restrict access by jurisdiction. The problem? They're stepping into a darknet ecosystem that spent years perfecting exactly that. The same stack that bypasses AML, controls on crypto exchanges, synthetic identities, stolen passports, deepfakes engineered to fool liveness checks, is now being redirected against the onboarding of OpenAI, Claude, and the rest. Immediate boom for underground bypass brokers. And you don't even need to fabricate identities. Hudson Rock has already identified over 30,000 compromised corporate credentials linked to OpenAI. Luma, VDAR, Redline routinely harvest session tokens and authentication cookies. An adversary in a restricted jurisdiction buys those logs, imports the cookies, hijacks a pre-verified session without triggering a single alert. The kicker: to comply with the controls, labs now have to store massive repositories of passports and biometrics, high-value compliance databases. When they get breached, and they will, that data flows back into the forums and fuels the next round of bypasses. They were told to build a wall. They built a honeypot. Drama. The event of the week. Anthropic versus the US government, and Anthropic lost the room. On June 11th, the government issued an export control directive, suspending all access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for foreign nationals. No prior notice, no details on the threat. The backstory: according to David Sachs, a highly credible trusted partner of both Anthropic and the government, found a jailbreak in Fable. The administrator asked Dario to fix it or dedeploy the model. Dario refused. The government issued the export controls reluctantly. Anthropic responded by saying the jailbreak isn't serious. The technical specifics were later described by Katie Musouris of Luta Security. Its experts gave Fable deliberately insecure code. Fable refused. Review this code for security issues, but complied when told, fix this code, followed by some additional manual steps. Simon Willison read it and was deeply disappointed that this is what shut down the model. But the real twist came from Axios. This is no longer about the jailbreak. Anthropic hired a cybersecurity expert to counter the government's narrative. The administration saw her as a radical Democrat. She was then publicly praised by Chris Krebs, the official Trump just fired. That didn't help. Officials described Anthropic as a company that simply doesn't know how to talk to this administration. The quote from one official: "Everyone said Anthropic was a bad actor. Some of us said it was time to give them a chance. Now those people are questioning that. They screwed us." Meanwhile, the community processed its grief accordingly. At Res Zero, did we actually experience Fable? Or was it all a dream? At Levelzio, remembering the 3 days I had access to Fable with the crying Wojak. At Chompy1337, discovered that vaguely mentioning at Zero Expoku's research is a 100% foolproof way to get CyberGuard destroyed by Claude. At Zero Expoku, responded with the Kramer GIF. The most interesting technical reads came from those who didn't panic. At Eric Voorhees, the jailbreak probably wasn't serious. The demand to pull the model was absurd, and the government used the opportunity to punish Anthropic for not falling in line earlier. At Zero Tem Serious put it in context. Guardrails are probabilistic classifiers. There's no finite set that's universally robust against adversarial prompts. That's a property of the architecture, not a failure by Anthropic. Nicholas Carlini has spent a decade proving every proposed, robust defense can be broken. At Asheshjane399 asked the question nobody answered well: if the jailbreak is serious enough to justify export controls, why is Fable still safe enough for US nationals to access? Either the model is insecure, or it's secure enough to stay deployed. The current position argues both. The question that remains open, from at Elder, Plinius: what happens when we get something Fable-level open source in the next 3 to 6 months? GPU bans, moving goalposts, or some secret third thing? Subtopic: Bugcrowd Savant and the reports problem. Bugcrowd launched Savant with a clear vision: autonomous agents delivering coverage at machine scale, human hackers finding what automated tools miss, and report signals connected into intelligence. The community read it differently. You submit your report, your signals feed their AI agents, the agents find bugs without you, with an unclear incentive structure. At Hussein98D summed it up: platforms using our reports to train their AI and sell products to clients. The change is now. One user responded that the future is probably self-hosted programs, not bug bounty platforms. And the @Damien89 thread that resonated across the community: bug bounty life. If you exfiltrate more than one PII record, it's bad hate. If you don't low bounty limited exposure, at Rezero replied with the real tactic: exfiltrate more, show only 1 inch the report. At Hydrazinaba closed the thread with the line of the episode: I always one shot, if no bounty, then sell on dark web. News: Anthropic kills Fable 5 and Mythos 5 by US government order. The US government gave Anthropic 90 minutes to shut down 2 of their most advanced models. 90 minutes. No technical explanation, no details on the threat, citing national security, and that's it. Amazon and other ecosystem players reportedly alerted administration officials about the capabilities of Fable 5 and Mythos 5 essentially. The competitors dropped the envelope. Anthropic asked what exactly they needed to fix to restore access. The government said no. At 5:30 p.m., the letter from the Department of Commerce arrived with the export controls. Full blackout for foreign nationals, inside and outside the US, including Anthropic's own employees with foreign nationality. The most concerning part isn't the blackout itself, it's the precedent. If suspending a frontier model over a non-universal jailbreak becomes the regulatory standard, no frontier model could ever be sustainably deployed. The entire industry is watching this case. Novo Nordisk breached. Internal AI model, 53 gigabytes of images. Source code. The pharma company behind Ozempic and Wegovy confirmed a breach. The threat actor didn't just take business data, they took the entire kitchen of their internal AI operation. The declared haul includes a 16 gigabytes trained model checkpoint, the proprietary training dataset, the complete pipeline source code, including modeling, novapert.py, 113 training runs with full logs, HPC infrastructure maps with Slurm and SSH, over 53 gigabytes of container images, developer identities, and the URL of the private GitHub repository. Novo Nordisk had their own internal AI tool. That's exactly what made them a juicy target. When a pharmaceutical company builds proprietary AI capability to accelerate drug discovery, that IP is worth more than any customer database. The actor is still extorting with style, according to VX Underground. Hospital Italiano, Argentina. Escuela Squad claims access to 2.3 million records. Close to home, Escuela Squad claims to have compromised Hospital Italiano de Argentina, one of the largest healthcare institutions in the country, declared Vector access to 10 internal staff machines. Result: over 2.3 million patient and employee records, 2.5 million biometric records, facial recognition data, national ID numbers, emails, phone numbers, and access to the internal patient management system. A sample of 50,000 individuals is already circulating as proof. Authenticity has not been independently verified yet, but the biometric component can't be ignored. Unlike a password, a biometric identifier can't be changed. If this is real, the long-term impact on affected individuals is permanent. BBVA Argentina, 750,000 premium cards for sale on Chinese underground market. VCert Analyzer flagged a threat actor offering an exclusive sale of a database attributed to BBVA Argentina with 750,000 gold, platinum, black, and international cardholders. The announcement appeared on an underground market of Chinese origin. Declared Vector. Direct database intrusion. Current status: under investigation. Not confirmed by BBVA. 2 breaches in Argentina in the same episode. Hospital Italiano and BBVA. Not a coincidence. It's a signal that threat actors are focusing on local critical infrastructure and that controls remain insufficient. NPM v12 disables install scripts by default. NPM announced that version 12 will disable install scripts and most dynamic dependencies by default. For anyone who hasn't been following 2025 and 2026, these are the 2 main vectors of the supply chain attacks that dominated the open source ecosystem over the last 2 years. Paul McCarty, NPM hacker, regular speaker at DEF CON and Black Hat, published a detailed analysis of the change. His take: good news, but it doesn't solve the whole problem. The malicious package ecosystem already has roots deeper than a default change. GPT-5.4 completes a real end-to-end scientific research cycle. OpenAI published something worth analyzing carefully. GPT-5.4, combined with Maria AI from Molecule 1 and a specialized physical laboratory, completed a full medicinal chemistry project, literature review, hypothesis generation, and ranking, experiment design, results analysis, and follow-up study proposals. The target was the Chan-Lam reaction with primary sulfonamides, historically a reaction with low yields that limited its utility in drug discovery. Final result: improvement in 88% of boronic acids and 83% of sulfonamides tested. The entire process took 2.5 months plus half a month of paper writing. Humans directed the work, selected what to test, and validated the results. But the complete research cycle, from literature to experimental finding, was driven by the model. This is an early example of what's coming. Yes We Hack launches CTF Streamcore on Dojo. Yes We Hack has a new live CTF on their Dojo platform. It's called Streamcore, a playlist handling service for U3 M8 files. Submit a manifest. It opens the best stream and returns the first chunk. The challenge screenshots show what appears to be an etc. password in the output, which is exactly the kind of hint that tells you where to look. Good exercise to warm up. Satora executes massive layoff, including C-level. Satora, one of the largest Web3 security firms in the ecosystem, executed a massive layoff all at once. security researchers, sales, management, and C-level positions, all at the same time. Most striking, the day before, they were still posting offers to hire elite talent. The Web3 security market has been contracting for several quarters, and this is another signal of the adjustment the sector is going through. Tools. The feed exploded with tools this week. Take notes. JWT Forge, Daniel Puer, got tired of JWT.io and built the offensive alternative. It doesn't just decode, it audits the token and generates attack tokens ready to run in curl, burp, nuclei, or JWT tool. Everything runs in your browser via web crypto. Your token, your secret, and your keys never leave the tab. No backend, no tracking. MIT. Chrome extension by @Bor Abdulhadi. After Rep Plus, this researcher launched an extension for access control testing without burp and without a proxy. Capture 2 sessions, browsers 1, and the extension silently replays every request as the other user and as unauthenticated, then compares the responses. IDOR, BOLA, and BFLA detection directly from the browser. NeoBotnet, @Caffeine Doom, mentioned it in passing, but worth noting, search filters by content type over URLs from active programs. HTML, JSON, JS, PDF, XML, with counts and parameter patterns, useful for prioritizing attack surface. Vercel Eve. The Vercel team launched their open source framework for production-ready AI agents. Simple structure, agent, TS for the model, instructions, MD for behavior, folders for tools, skills, subagents, and schedules. Durable workflows, code sandbox, human approvals, multi-channel, like next.js, but for agents. Odysseus, yes, PewDiePie's. Self-hosted AI workspace, open source, MIT. Built to compete with ChatGPT and Claude, your hardware, your data, no monthly subscription. For those who prefer to run everything locally. Schedule. This week, you won't sleep. On June 20th, there's a Bug Bounty conference in Madrid in person, with Carlos Polop, Zere, Eric 4, 51, N0, XI0, us and more. And if you want to make your speaker debut, they're still looking for someone for a 30-minute talk. Real opportunity. June 22nd is the deadline for Integrity's monthly challenge, number 0626, by X Halil, €400 in swag. If you haven't solved it, you have hours left. June 26th and 27th, Yes We Hack activates its live hacking event at Le Hack, Paris. 2 days, target still under wraps. If you're in Europe, you need to be there. Jumping to August, DEF CON 34, Las Vegas, August 6 to 9. Maro Eldritch presents the complete Lazarus, famous Cholomer attack cycle, recorded live interviews, tools, every single click. Plus, Electronic Cats is back in Vegas. Also on the radar, Sydney SEC, July 3rd. Dave Jerry, BugCrowd CEO. Keynote on AI, in vuln discovery and offensive security. And for the region, Echo Party Buenos Aires, 2026, October 7 to 9, at the CEC. Early bird active AR $70,000 for legacy tickets until mid-July. After that, it goes up. You know the drill. Errata, about the Echo Party. Early bid is 70k pesos, not dollars. Videos and recommended papers. Videos. Nahamsec, $30,000 from a single bug class in a single program. Broken access control. Not by spamming chained lows. 5 back bugs leading to full account takeover. Live. Free lab on Hacking Hub so you can follow the process step by step. Bugs and talks. #2 Jessica Perez at Jesuu, Spanish language podcast by David Padilla, Greyback. Jess is an example of professional reinvention who found a bug in the Singapore government, recommended for those just starting out and those who've been at it for years. Tierra de Hackers, Marketing or Apocalypse, Claude Mythos. You've been sold that Anthropic's new AI is the end of cybersecurity. This episode explains why almost all of that is marketing and what the real problem is. Critical Thinking EP 178 brutecat. We covered it in the Bounty Inspirador, but if you haven't listened to the full episode, it's one of the most technically dense episodes you'll find this year. Papers and write-ups. Bob to hack a FIFA World Cup 2026, registering on FIFA's public agent platform, gave access to the football data platform's streaming management panel, with RTMP URLs and stream keys for every live World Cup camera, with just his ID. The title says it all. I could have rickrolled the entire FIFA World Cup. Nop nop at nop nop. Git integrations, in cloud services, written version of his B-sides, Riga, and B-sides, Vilnius talks. 4 bugs in GCP, Looker, and Dataform, including the one that won him the MVH. The Git integration attack surface in cloud services has been giving away bugs for years, and nobody exhausts it. Kuldeep Pandya, client-side authentication bypass. 4 real cases where authentication lives only in client-side JavaScript. One of the 4 escalated to SQLi for $4,000. They verify your login in client-side JavaScript, never on the server, so you can walk right in. Beeroot Logic, 13 original OAuth attack techniques. OAuth is the login layer of the modern web, and most implementations are broken in ways that aren't documented anywhere. One of the 13, grant type substitution, MFA bypass, CVE 20243789-3. The closer. MCP is OAuth now, and nobody is testing it. Dolomit, at Fabricat, 0R, humiliating, IIS, servers, the most detailed IIS guide you'll find, honest, title. Chompy, at Chompy1337, Universal SE Linux bypass for Exynos, already released it for Qualcomm, now unprivated the Exynos version. IO, Uring exploit, still works as of today. Integrity.js source maps in 3 steps. Grab source map unpack with source mapper run metis on the TypeScript source files. Lines up exactly with brutecat's vector. Not a coincidence they're amplifying this now. Yes, we hack. How to hack with LLM's guide on agentic CLIs, MCP servers, and why manual POC validation is still non-negotiable without human expertise. The result is AI slop. Nightmare Eclipse, at Chaotic Eclipse 0, is back new blog. Interesting things. The community was waiting. Inspiring Bounty of the Week. At brutecat, Google, $670K, 1 source map. A single file left forgotten in production, the kind developers leave there for debugging and forget to clean up. That file exposed how Google handles its internal authentication. Everything. The architecture, the fields, the structure. Information that should never have left their servers. With that, brutecat built a master key. Functional access to almost all of Google's API infrastructure. From the browser. No sophisticated exploits. No 0 days. He built an AI pipeline on top of that and scanned systematically. $670,000 in 3 to 4 months. The lesson: a debug artifact left forgotten in production is worth more than 1,000 exploitation techniques. Source maps are source code. Treat them that way. This was the Bounty Inspirador of the week. Nominate your candidate through our communication channels. Final thoughts. I'd hack Luke said it with a doomer pre-warning, but it's worth listening to. Google, Meta, TikTok built the internet and became profitable by doing one thing: altering what you see in favor of whoever pays. No frontier AI company is profitable yet. The question isn't whether they'll do the same, it's when and how. They're already restricting models and blocking them from doing security research. And when LLMs become the source of truth for billions of people, whoever controls the framing controls history. The screenshot says it all. Claude code mid-session, auto-switching models because it flagged something. The command in the buffer, bypass permissions on. Poetic. At Sniff closes it perfectly. The people getting the most out of AI are usually the ones who already understand the technology well enough to spot mistakes, ask better questions, and validate the answers. Technical expertise didn't die. It's the only thing separating you from being the prompt monkey who accepts whatever the model gives back. That's all for episode 49 of Bug Bounty Newsweek. Next week, more news, more tools, more drama, because the ecosystem never stops. If this episode gave you something, share it with someone who needs it. Links to everything we mentioned are in the link tree in the bio. If you're part of the Latin American bug bounty community and want to make your voice heard, reach out through our communication channels. I'm Cryptos. We keep hunting.